to do that, Bill?
All right. My name is Rita Bailey, and I'm a registered clinical dietitian at Lourdes Hospital. And today we chose the topic of portion distortion. This is sort of a takeoff of what we talked about last time, how to lose weight without dieting. Portions that have become distorted can be part of this problem. So I just want to read you some information, some statistics that you find interesting. The Journal of the American Medical Association said that Americans consume 10% more calories today than they did in 1970, and that's why I was asking when you were born. So a long time before you guys even came into the world. And with no changes in physical activity, this results in 200 extra calories per day. That will add up to 20-pound weight gain a year, just because we eat larger portions than we did in years past. Now, why, you would want to ask, why are we eating more? Well, I ask you this, does this sound familiar? Supersize, Biggie, Whopper, Monster, Double, Double Double, Big Gulp, Super Big Gulp, Double Gulp, King Size, Tall, Grande, Venti, Mega, Quad, Foot Long. You getting the idea? Where is this coming from? Where are we hearing these adjectives?
Restaurants.
Restaurants, and a lot of it is the fast food restaurants. Are any of you as old as I am and remember when you got to go out to eat, it was a real treat? That was kind of a rare occasion if you got to go out to eat. Today our children are growing up at the fast food restaurants. There's a lot of busy lifestyles. People get off from work, they've got to go to a ball practice or a ball game. There's not time to go home and cook a meal, so they go to the drive-up window, and what do you see? What's the publicity and advertising? All these adjectives that I've just described. If we look back 20 years, the change is shocking. Do you remember when a sandwich was some meat on 2 slices of regular bread? The bread would look like this. Now a sandwich is more like this. It's not 1 meat patty. It can be 2 meat patties, 3 meat patties, or there's the quad with 4 meat patties and 4 slices of cheese, and if you're lucky, 4 slices of bacon on top of that. It's like the fast food industry is in competition to see who can make the biggest sandwich. Now, we said 2 slices of bread. That's also versus the foot long. And it's promoted as a real special because we like to get more for our money, right? So it's a $5 foot long, a real deal. Your mentality, probably, if you were raised like I was, is that you're also not supposed to waste food, correct? You're supposed to clean your plate if you're good girls and boys. So if you eat the whole foot long, you're going to be taking in quite a bit more calories. Let's just look at the difference. A turkey sandwich on 2 slices of bread with 2 ounces of turkey is 260 calories versus the foot long, 560 calories, just in the difference in the size of it. Now, you know that Subway promoted their healthy sandwiches with Jared losing all that weight. You remember Jared? But if Jared chose differently and had the meatball marinara sandwich, that's 960 calories. So they do have some great choices. They also have some not so good choices. What about the Burger King? That's an example of, this came out in one of those flyers you get in the newspaper with all the coupons and the bargains. Notice they have the double, the triple, and the quad promoted there. And what about combo? Don't they entice you when you get to the cash register that you could get more for your money by having the combo, which includes a soft drink with lots of empty calories and French fries, correct? Do you remember the Monster Burger when it came out? Look at the size of that bun. When I was a kid, they didn't make buns that large. And if you have a bun that big, that means you also have to have a burger that big, and cheese and all those extra toppings that go on it. So not only do you get a lot more calories this way, but you also get more cholesterol and more sodium and other things that you might be concerned about. And there's the normal size sandwich. All right, what about popcorn? Again, way back in the dark ages, if you got a bag of popcorn, it was about that tall and about that wide, just a little round bag, paper sack. If you wanted a large, it was just a little bit taller, still the same width. Now you go to the movie theaters, and it's not a bag of popcorn. What is it?
A tub.
It's a tub or a bucket, yes. And every time I tell people that, but that bucket is quite a bit more calories, they say, oh, but Rita, with a bucket you get a free refill. And I say, duh, you don't need a refill if you've had a bucket of popcorn plus all the butter that they might put on that for you. So back 20 years ago, 270 calories in that 5 cups of that container. And now, how many calories do you think you're getting in that? Anybody want to take a guess? 630. Yeah, you're close. 630. And that's probably without the butter. So add butter, you're going to get a lot more. What about soft drinks? Do you remember when it was a real treat to get a soft drink? That might have been a once in a great while treat. I remember I used to go to the filling station with my dad, and sometimes I'd get to get a soda out of the drink machine, and that was just a real treat. And those Cokes that my mom liked were 6 ounces. Not a lot of calories in that, 85 calories. What do we get today? Well, I brought some examples of some of these portions. Do any of you do the larger size at McAllister's, whether it's tea or a soda? This is the larger size at McDonald's. These are both 32 ounces. What about this one? This is one of those two-handed ones. I can't even carry it with one hand comfortably without fearing spilling it or dropping it. I want you to see how different this looks when we pour it into a measuring cup versus this container. Do you realize that you're really consuming that much liquid when you drink that? Looks different, doesn't it? Yeah. Now, if you consider that a 12-ounce soda like you have on the trays today or tables today, average is about 150 calories, but that's, what, 12 ounces? This is 32. That's how much you're drinking. But remember, if you get the large one, you get a free refill, right? So think about the marketing that they're using on you. This one, what do you think is going to hold? How many ounces is this one?
12.
Guesses? This really is only 8 ounces. It looks like it would be more. That's about 8 ounces. This one is also 8 ounces. But look how different the containers look. And this carton of milk is also 8 ounces. Well, what about coffee? Has been any change in coffee? Do you remember when a cup of coffee was just a cup like you got with your China set? It's a small, about 6 ounces. This is the small at Starbucks, one of our popular restaurants. And here's the Venti or Grande or whatever the larger one is. You can tell I'm not a coffee drinker. Coffee with milk and sugar, and the regular size coffee cup I was referring to, is only 45 calories. If you get the Grande with 2% milk, it's 330 calories. Now I'm stressing these liquids because a lot of times we don't think about liquids having calories. They don't count. It's a liquid, right? It's not something you're actually chewing, but they really do have lots of calories. Here's another example of the sodas we were talking about. Here's the 8 ounce, 20 ounce, and the 12 ounce can. And sometimes the appearance of these is deceptive, and again, you don't think about it being very high in calories or making a big difference towards your diet. You know the little Minute Mart places that you go into, they have a 32 ounce size Big Gulp, a 44 ounce Big Gulp, and a 64 ounce Big Gulp. That's twice the amount you saw me pour into that measuring cup. Calorie difference, 388. And keep in mind that those calories have absolutely nothing in them that's beneficial to you. It's strictly just calories and carbohydrate. There's no vitamins, there's no protein, there's no nutrients or minerals in any way, shape, or form. It's just calories, empty calories. Then you have the 44 ounce with 533 calories and the 64 ounce with 776 calories. Remember that the average person needs only 2,000 calories all day long to meet their needs, not gain or lose weight. So you're getting almost half of that in one of those sodas. Something to think about, isn't it? Here is a difference in how many calories you'd have to burn off with those popcorns we talked about earlier. 630 versus 275. That's a 355 calorie difference. You would have to do calisthenics for 35 minutes to make up the difference in those calories you consumed and the different size of that. Did you know that you can go to the movies and buy what they call a snack pack? If you're like me, I love popcorn, and I cannot resist the smell of popcorn when I go to the movie. It just sounds so good, and I love it. So I get the snack meal, and it's about this much popcorn, about that like that. And then you get a little bitty drink and some kind of little treat candy or whatever. It's enough to satisfy my craving for popcorn without being excessive in calories. Because sometimes it's just because you were triggered by the sense of smell. You weren't really hungry probably when you went there. You probably already had a meal. But you just couldn't resist that smell that was triggering you to eat it. This is another example of what we recommend that you eat. This is a serving of meat that will meet your nutritional and protein needs. 3 ounces, looks like a deck of cards. Looks like this. That would be the chicken. Here would be the roast beef. And that would be fish. Now, is that about what you normally eat, or is it about 3 times that amount? Think about what the restaurant menus promote. The description of the steak on the restaurant menu is a 16-ounce T-bone, an 8-ounce ribeye, or a 2-inch pork chop, or half a chicken. Do we really need that much? Why do we think we do? Because you are constantly being brainwashed by the media with these pictures that you see in advertising, by the television. Years ago, you didn't have that much television and definitely not that much promotion on the food sizes. A few other things that ring bells with me. Pizza, for example. 2 slices of just a normal pizza is 500 calories. If you get the thicker crust or the stuffed crust, or even maybe more toppings on it, it's 850 calories. So just by increasing the size of that crust, you've increased the calories considerably. Do you remember if you went out to eat and you had spaghetti? It was served on a dinner plate, just a normal size plate like you'd have at home. That would be about 500 calories. Now when you go out to an Italian restaurant and you get pizza, what size is the plate? It's a platter. It looks like the one you would put in the middle of the table for everybody to take their servings from. This might also ring some bells. My mother one time went out and ordered a pasta dish from a local restaurant, and she couldn't even make a dent in it. When she got done eating, you couldn't tell she'd even eaten from it. So she got the take-home container, which is something good to do. That way you do get your money's worth because you get more meals than one. That next day, she and my daughter ate some of her leftovers, and they still had some to throw away. So there was enough on that plate for a family of 4 at least. And because we're paying big bucks for it, and it's a deal, right? We think we're supposed to clean our plates. So my challenge to you today is not to have that mentality. You don't have to clean your plate. If you're satisfied and you've had enough to eat, you can stop. You can take it home and eat on it again the next day. You don't have to cook the next night, or you can take it for lunch to work. So it's a quick and easy thing, and you save money. I think also interesting on this plate is like you've always heard the joke, I need sideboards on my plate when there's a buffet. That's another place we run into problems. Again, because we want to get our money's worth, we tend to go back several times, and especially if it tasted really good. With a buffet line, you can get in trouble. What about the all-you-can-eat meals? You know, there's some places that have fish, and you can just keep getting more and more because it's all you can eat for that same price. Have any of you ever been to Lambert's over at Sykeston? Love that place. It's fantastic. But it's enough food for a week. Matter of fact, I used to get the roast beef with the idea that I'll take it home, and I eat a couple more meals on it. It's enough for 3 or 4 meals. Good food, but we need to think in terms of really need all that food. And then, again, the platter size dishes. One of the things I would suggest that if you're wanting to watch these calories, not taking extra calories or extra cholesterol, is that you consider sharing a meal. A lot of restaurants will bring you an extra plate, and you can share. Maybe just pay for the extra salad, but you can split the meal because it's a lot of food. Take it home. Get the take-home container. You don't have to call it a doggy box and pretend you have a dog at home that you don't. You can just ask for a take-home container. Also, think about asking for the lunch-size portion. So a lot of restaurants will let you do that. You may still have to pay an extra $1 or $2 because it's dinner time. But if it's on my plate, I tend to want to eat more of it. So if I don't have as much, I'm willing to do that. So ask for the lunch portion. You might also consider ordering an appetizer. I frequently do that at a Mexican restaurant because I can get like a quesadilla and be perfectly happy with it. It's plenty of food, not get that whole meal with all the extra things that come along with it. Order a child-sized portion. Some restaurants will allow you to do that, and especially if you're at the drive-up window. I do that a lot of times at Fazoli's. I'll just get the child's portion, and it's plenty of food. You might also, if you're trying to lose weight, consider using smaller plates. That way you don't tend to overeat, and it looks like more food for you. Consider not taking seconds, especially with the buffet lines. Ask for salad dressings on the side. A lot of times they will pour it on there for you before they bring it to you, and it's a ladle full. We talked about how many calories you get from that last time. Another suggestion is that you never eat out of the bag. The thing that comes to mind is things like potato chips and the microwave popcorn that you eat from the bag. If you take the bag into the living room, you'll probably eat the whole thing. But if instead you pour it into a bowl and take a measured amount out, then you probably will stop with that amount. That's a good idea too. Go for the small size sandwiches at these fast food restaurants we were talking about. I showed you they have the singles. That's the one to get. Don't have to have the doubles, the triples, the quads, and all those extra things, unless you are going to split it with someone. And then again, eating half and taking half of it home. Eat slowly. It takes your brain about 20 minutes to get the message that you're full. But if you've already eaten the whole thing, by the time you get the message, you're miserable and you're very full. You young guys may not experience that yet because you have higher metabolism. Remember that you should not supersize just because it's advertised that way. Look at my board back here. You remember I talked about the guy who did the documentary on supersize? Did you guys hear that? I talked about that. And he gained 23 pounds in 1 month. This is what we're really doing when we supersize. Can you see Ronald down here? Ronald is obese. And a lot of our children today are obese as a result of this mentality. Also, look at the advertising. Look at, for one thing, the size of these pictures. If they make it look big, boy, it really sells, doesn't it? So you get your money's worth on this Arby's, and it's stacked very deep. The sampler at Long John Silver's, you don't just get fish, you also get shrimp, and you get hush puppies, you get French fries, and notice that's fried, 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 and more fried. A lot of grease. And remember that those nutrients, the carbohydrates and proteins, only have 4 calories per gram. Fats have 9 calories per gram. So those are like little sponges. And if you've ever left that and let it get cold, you notice how it changes its appearance. It looks like you could squeeze it out because it's got so much grease in it. So this is your once in a while food. That's okay occasionally. It's not something we want to do every day of the week. Then we have the Hardee's, and they have their mushroom melt thick burger. Again, notice the adjective, it's thick burger. We don't want to get a skinny burger. And then you have the steakhouse burger from Burger King with all kinds of goodies added to it. And if they add a sauce to it, that's usually going to be a sauce that has extra fat in it too. So again, more calories. They just keep adding more and more calories, and they wonder why we as a nation, 2/3 of us are overweight. In the United States, 2/3 are overweight. So how do you estimate portions? Well, I brought a few examples of that. A serving of vegetables we usually consider a half a cup. This is another way you can measure if you were doing mashed potatoes, and this is what they do in the hospitals and school lunch lines. That's a good way to measure your half cup portions. But visualize, this is a half cup. If you're going to overeat on anything, overeat on those vegetables. You can eat lots more of those because they are low calorie unless we put a lot of butter and grease and everything into them. This is what we consider a normal sized potato. Now sometimes they're about that long, aren't they? And if you can afford those calories, which these young guys probably can, that's fine too. But just want you to be aware of portion sizes because we have gotten so brainwashed that we think this is normal, and it's not. Fruit, usually they say the size of a baseball. So if you're trying to determine a portion for fruit, some things like cantaloupe or watermelon is a little bit smaller, but again, about baseball size. And cereal, how many of you use a mixing bowl when you fill your cereal bowl up instead of just a normal size bowl? This is normal. And this one's going to shock you. This is pasta. That's spaghetti. And again, when they bring it to you in the restaurant, it's a whole lot more than that, isn't it? Quite a bit more. And bread, of course, is just a slice. A slice of bread is a serving. So those things are easy. Some of the packaging can be misleading, and I think I might have mentioned this before, but this is a single-size serving, and it has 110 calories in it, so it's no big deal. This one, most of us would assume is a single-size serving, and it's 160 calories and 10 grams of fat. However, on the small print up here, it says serving size is 1 ounce, but this is supposed to feed 2.5 people. So most people would eat the whole thing thinking that's a single serving, but instead of being 160 calories, it's 360 calories. So just remember, you've got to read what they called a serving, and not what you assumed was a serving. So to estimate portions, a half a cup looks like a half of a baseball, and fruit is a baseball, and meat is the deck of cards. So if you just kind of remember those as guidelines for your serving sizes, it'll help. A 20-ounce soda is actually 2.5 servings. Those 32-ounce ones are going to be a whole lot more than that, aren't they? Let's see. A few other things that I wanted to talk about were the muffins. Do you remember when a muffin came out of your muffin pan at home and it was about that big, looked like a little cupcake? Now what size are muffins? Yeah, more like small cakes, aren't they? They're very large. The difference, 210 calories in the regular size muffin to as much as 500 calories. And that depends on whether they put other things in it too. And then again, sodas and popcorn are something to be aware of. I want to pass this around, just let you guys take a look at that. Another one that comes to mind is cookies. I took my Girl Scouts to Branson one time. We went to Silver Dollar City. And one of my Girl Scouts was a diabetic. And her mother said, now I want her to be able to be like a normal child, so don't worry about what she eats. She'll be fine. She can eat anything. Well, a cookie would not have been a problem, but at Branson, they make cookies the size of a plate. Anybody ever had one of those? Yeah. So she had a cookie. It was just a cookie, right? And then we had ice cream at Dairy Queen one place, and instead of getting the small ice cream cone, she got the Blizzard. Do you see the difference? Having the ice cream cone would not have been a problem, but the Blizzard's a whole different story, isn't it? So portion distortion can make a big difference on whether or not people gain weight. So as I said before, you don't have to go on a diet to lose weight or even to manage and control your weight. If you'll think in terms of what is normal portion, how much do I need, or am I just trying to be that good boy and girl and clean my plate and eat as much as possible to get my money's worth? Questions? Can anybody relate to that? Anybody guilty of eating huge amounts just because it's a good deal, or because that's what you've been you guys probably been raised thinking that's normal amount, whereas we can see the difference and how it's changed. Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you. We'll be taking up other subjects in the future, but today, just portion distortion. I want to make you conscious of eating normal, not what they're brainwashing you to do. Oh, I did forget about the margarines. I'm sorry. I did want to show you the difference in a teaspoon of margarine, which is what we think we eat, a tablespoon of margarine, which is more like what people put on their roll, and this is 2 tablespoons of margarine. What do you get when you get the baked potato that's already got everything on it at the restaurant? Probably even more than that. I've seen some of those golf ball sizes amounts of margarine a lot bigger than that, and then on top of that they put the sour cream. So I always ask for the margarine on the side. Salad dressing on the side is a good idea too, then you can put your own amount on and control it. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.